Toronto Maple Leaf 2025-2026 player grades. So we know that the Maple Leafs are currently hiring a head of hockey operations, and that person is going to have a huge job. So today, we're going to help give them a head start by preparing them to get to know this group. We're going to review the defense. We're going to review the forwards. I'm going to identify players that I would keep for next season and players I would look to move on. And then we're going to identify the biggest positional needs for next season. This is The Morning Whistle. My name is Aaron Nerone. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to review all the defense and forwards who played for the team this season, ended on the roster, and played at least 40 games. So we're not going to include anyone who was traded. We're not going to include any of the long-term injuries like Chris Tanev, and we're not going to include any players who only played a handful of games. What we are going to do is review the core of the roster, and we're going to give them a rating on a scale from A to F. Let's start with the defense. So Jake McCabe. Jake McCabe is a B-. Now, on his day, Jake McCabe can be an absolute eraser. He's got a great first pass. He's willing to carry the puck up, and I think he's just really efficient with his movement. Now, he did have his toughest time as a Maple Leaf. Part of it was due to having many partners throughout the year, but I also thought that there were moments where he was trying to do too much with the puck. And I honestly think that he needs to simplify his game. I also saw some vulnerability off the rush, specifically late in the season. Ultimately, he is the team's most important defenseman moving forward, and we're going to need him to continue to be effective for us next season. Next, we have the alternate captain, Morgan Rielly. This was a hard one because I really wanted to remove the emotion of talking about a player I really, really like and respect. But if I look at it rationally, he has lost a step, and it has really hurt him. Teams know that they can be aggressive with Morgan Rielly on rushes, and his gap control has never been his strength. In the past, he could get by with his legs, but now he's just so vulnerable on counters. He skates well forward, pretty good, but backwards, not as strong. And just as concerning for me, I feel like he's become very flimsy with the puck in the D zone. I often found him just looking really rushed to make a play. And the thing that was really weird was he looked at times just completely uncomfortable doing anything with the puck with one hand. It's almost like the stick was glued to his second hand, and that was the only way he could make a pass. The problem is when you're playing defense, sometimes you just have to shovel the puck up with one hand. He does remain an asset in the O-zone, specifically for his ability to punch up, and he had 11 goals, so I do want to call that out, but I really feel that his lack of explosiveness affected his ability to carry the puck forward, and I also felt that his passing really fell as well. Oliver Ekman-Larsson was the Toronto Maple Leafs' best defender this season, and I give him a B. In his first season with the team, he was very shaky at times. And if you remember, by the end of the season last year, he had been relegated to the third pair. Anytime he played in the top four, he was getting overwhelmed. This season, I thought there was a big difference. He showed a lot more poise with the puck and just seemed a lot more improved at gap control, specifically in the defensive zone. I thought he did a really good job of playing to his strengths, specifically like quick plays out of the zone. And of course, I thought his passing in the offensive zone was quite strong. So I'm really excited. I thought he showed that as he continues to get older, he has the smarts, he has the hockey sense to adjust. And like with McCabe, I think he'll be key for us next season. Simon Benoit is a C. Now, he remains big and physical, but we know he handles the puck like a grenade. And the biggest problem with Simon Benoit when you look at the numbers was we were shelled in the D zone when he was out there. Like, the shots against were terrible. But I also believe a big part of that was his high defensive zone start percentage, which was actually the highest out of all the defensemen on the team, meaning he was getting very little starts on the O zone. And I feel that he needs to be handled more like a Luke Schenn, right? Where you put him with someone who knows that, hey, if Benoit's on the ice and he gets the puck, he's passing to you. And he didn't get that a lot this season. He played a little bit with Myers at times, played a little bit with Stecher. So really having a calm partner will help. And I do believe that that partner in an ideal state would be Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Brandon Carlo is a D. He was just a complete and utter failure. And I'm forgetting the trade for a second, which was even worse. But when Brandon Carlo joined the Leafs, we were told we were getting a monster who would protect the front of the net and skates well for a big man. And I just found he was a complete liability in both senses. Number one, I did not see him body people around anytime they got close to the net. He was way too timid, and the skating ability just wasn't there. He's had 0 goals as a Leaf, and quite frankly, there were times I couldn't tell the difference between him and Benoit, except the difference was Simone Benoit is getting paid a fourth of what Carlo is. Troy Stecher was a B. Now, he should be satisfied with his performance as a Maple Leaf. Claimed off of waivers, I really liked the energy and passion with which he played. And he was one of the few players on this team who constantly showed that energy. He works hard, skates well, and demands responsibility. He was not afraid to say, hey, give me more minutes. Ultimately, though, I think you saw his struggles as his ice time grew. You could see more errors pop into his game, especially when he would go into the defensive zone to clear pucks. And that was a source of frustration. Teams could just continually dump and chase on Stecher, and at some point he would make an error. Now, in terms of where it lands with him, I will say this. He's a free agent, as we know. If we had a better decor, I wouldn't mind bringing him back as a depth player. The problem is all of our other defensemen are under contract, and we need to bring in some new bodies. And so that would make signing Stecher pretty irresponsible. Last, we have Philippe Myers. He's a D. To me, this is simple. He's not an NHL defenseman. He doesn't move the puck well enough, a consistent source of turnovers, and the fact that he played about 40 games this season, to me, was coaching malpractice. And I don't understand how you could watch William Villeneuve at the end of the season and think that that guy is worse than Philippe Myers. So I'll keep it there. All right, next we're going to go through the forwards. And similar to the defense, we're going to rate them on a scale of A to F, only players who played more than 40 games. So we're going to start with William Nylander, who gets a B. William Nylander had a decent season. He led the team in scoring from start to finish and was the team's best player overall. He is a true offensive weapon. He can pass, shoot, skate. He can drive a line on his own. He started as well to show some improvements for checking and creating turnovers behind the offensive net, which I thought was really impressive. And while his shot and goal output did fall last year, he took on a greater playmaking role, and this was the second best points per game output of his career. We all know there's questions about his all-around game, and that's a reason he's a winger and not a center. But I want to be really honest and just say I've been very happy with the play I've seen from him ever since he signed his big contract. He is earning his money, and I think if more players played to their level, our team would be a lot better. John Tavares, a B+. He gets the highest rating on this team this season, and I don't think he had a better season on the whole than William Nylander, but based on the expectations, he certainly outperformed. He played 81 games, he scored over 30 goals, and had over 70 points. And look, he remains a really good second-line center. He's not really changed. He's outstanding in and around the net. He's really, really good with making quick plays and quick passes. His shot around the hash marks remains lethal. But his limitations, of course, number one, if it's a back and forth game with a ton of rushes, sometimes he can get marked out of those games because his skating just isn't good enough. And we have seen this over the last couple of years. He will have some stretches where if you play him too much, he will go cold for maybe 10 games. On the whole, really happy with what he brings. And I'm actually very confident he can continue to be a 60 to 70 point player for the next couple of seasons. Auston Matthews is a C. He was simply not good enough this season, and he took another step backwards. I know Marner was always going to have an impact. Losing Mitch was always going to negatively impact his goal scoring, but the regression was a lot worse than I hoped. He averaged a career low goals per game, was under a point per game for the first time since his rookie season, and most concerningly, his power play production dropped like a rock. He scored only 5 goals with the man advantage. A couple of seasons ago, he had 18. Now, of course, he's hardly a poor player. He remains strong with the puck and physically strong. 27 goals and 53 points. Like, he's not a liability. But on a team where he's getting paid $13 million and where we saw players like Macklin Celebrini score 115 points, this guy was nowhere near good enough, and he needs to significantly improve. Matthew Knies is a B-. The goal production did fall, and he also struggled in certain moments when he was moved to the third line, and he hasn't necessarily shown that he can drive a line on his own yet. However, like with Matthews, he had to take on more responsibility this year. He didn't have a Marner on his line to carry the puck in for him and find him. And so what I really liked from Matthew Knies was his hands in tight spaces really improved. There were moments when he would pick up the puck in the offensive zone, and he looked like Matthews in his prime with the way he could just outmuscle guys, really make those quick moves with the stick, and then shoot. Next year, I really think he needs to focus on upping his shot count, improving in the defensive zone, and I also think that he really needs to take a step forward carrying the puck in. Max Domi is a C. In small stretches, he can be a good asset, especially when we have ozone time. But the problem was we didn't have a lot of the puck this year. And when Max Domi doesn't have the puck, he's not very good. I've always tried to give him some leeway because he often moves up and down the lineup and doesn't really have set line mates. The problem is he doesn't consistently show up. There are too many stretches for him where he's good and then he's useless. And he can get marked out of the game really easily. For someone who has skill, I expect more. Matias Maccelli is also a B. It looked like he was going to be a D early in the season when he sat for 9 straight games. He didn't work at the season playing on a line with Nick Waugh and Dakota Joshua. However, he was much better in the second half of the season. And when elevated to play with John Tavares and William Nylander, I thought they showed some chemistry. Something that I didn't realize. He can shoot the puck. He's obviously a skilled passer, but he also has the ability to score. He's shifty with the puck, and I found that he was a lot more nimble than Max Domi. Like, in the offensive zone, you can give the puck to Matias, and he'll shift around, he'll find a pass, and he will really be effective. I thought he delivered value, and I'd like to keep him for next season. Nick Robertson is a B-. This was his first season where he was not a healthy scratch for at least significant points of the season. His goal output remained similar, his playmaking improved, but his minutes stayed the same. And while I feel that his minutes make it hard for him to get a lot of points, I also think I know the player. And I think the player is just not good enough to be in the top 6, not big enough to play on the third line. He's a guy that I think if the ice were 3 feet wider on either side, he'd be really good because he does have a wicked shot and good puck skills, but he's not quick enough. Too often he picks up the puck and he's just not moving. His feet are static and he can get muscled off really easily. And I think that on a team with a guy like Domi and Maccelli, he's kind of the odd man out there. Easton Cowan is a B. For everything that happened this season and for even the ups and downs that Cowan had, I really like him. He is a better player than what the stats show, and he brings the right attitude. He was one of the guys every single day who was coming with energy. Up and down the ice, he showed how much he wanted to be successful. And he had that hunger. And while he's a rookie and rookies often bring that hunger, he strikes me as a guy who will carry that moving forward. He is going to be a big part of our future. I'd like him to work on two things. One, I'd like him to focus on getting a little bit naturally quicker. And secondly, I want him to really, really work at being a little bit smarter in and around the net. Get some of those greasy goals. Dakota Joshua is a C. Just didn't fit very, very well. Had an unfortunate injury at a time where he was starting to play well. He's not as good a skater as I expected to be, and he has some limitations with the puck. He's straightforward. He gets the puck, he goes to the net. And I think in the playoffs, like, that can be valuable, but I didn't see the skating that I needed to see from him. Steven Lorentz is a B-. He does his role fine. I think the problem is less about him, the player, and more the fact that he had a 3-year contract. I don't like him as a center. I prefer him as a winger, and he's going to be back, and I think he does his role fine. Calle Jarnkrok is a C-. I don't really blame him for anything at this point in his career. He was just overplayed, again, due to coaching incompetence. He had 8 points in 55 games, just not good enough. I respect what he's done as a player. He's had a very good career, and shouldn't have played as much this season. So that's our team. Curious to get everyone's thoughts on what you agree with and what you would change. And heading into next season, again, I think we have some pieces. I genuinely think that our forward group is a lot better than what they showed, but we have to make some changes on our defense.